PestRoutes uses a mobile application called TechRoutes that technicians can use to view their schedule, see and enter useful information, and complete appointments. You can download TechRoutes on both iPhone and Android. To log in, you want to enter your company's subdomain in the company field. For example, when I log into my PestRoutes on a computer, I go to demotomas.pestroutes.com. My subdomain is demotomas. So in TechRoutes, I'm going to enter demotomas in the company field. You then want to enter your username and password that are set up for you, then hit login. Once logged in, you will see the date you are viewing in the top center. In the top right is a refresh button. It's always encouraged that you hit this whenever you log in to make sure that you have the most updated information synced from the office with your device. In the top left is a calendar. By clicking this, you could select another day that you want to view your schedule for. In this example, I'm going to choose December 26th. Assuming that I'm Bob, we could see here that I have one route for today with 9 appointments. You see here it has the picture of the technician, the name of the technician, what route the technician is on, and then on the right hand side it shows there's 0 out of 9 of those appointments on that route completed. By clicking on this, we could go ahead and pull up the detailed view of the route. Here we could see the breakdown of all the appointments that we currently have on our schedule. We could see that these are 30-minute appointments, that they're weekly appointments, and then we can see the arrival time frame. So on the first one it says 9 to 11. We could then also see what the customer name is for each of these, along with their address, and the value for the appointment on the right-hand side. Where you see the red text where it says PD, that means that that customer currently has a pending balance that they currently owe you. If you have any time blocked out on your schedule for any reason, it'll show up grayed out like you see the drive time here. If we want to get directions to our first appointment, Rutherford B. Hayes, all we have to do is click on him, and then when it asks us to check in, hit no. The reason we hit no is because we're not quite at the address yet. We needed to get directions to the address, and once we arrive, then we'll check into the appointment. Once you're on this screen here, you'll see the button for directions to address. Click that, and then it'll ask you to select what navigation app you would like to use for directions. If you have multiple apps installed, it'll let you choose from those, but if you only have one installed, it'll go to that one by default. So if I select Google Maps here, it'll give me directions to my appointment in Google Maps. Hopping back to TechRoutes now. In the Info tab, there's a lot of useful information for you to take advantage of. For example, at the very top, you're going to see the production value. If there's a call ahead or anything else of that nature, it'll also show up in this top blue section. Right below that, you're going to see the customer name with the customer number, and then right below that, you're going to actually see a Google Street View, if available, of the customer's property. You'll also see any of the customer's contact information right below where it says Update Geocode, with the address, phone, and anything else that is provided. Scrolling down a little further, you'll see the actual details for the pending appointment for today. As you can see, we have this weekly appointment here. If there's any reminders, notes, or other flags associated with this, this is where we'd be able to view those. Scrolling down, we could also take a look at any open service plans. This will show all the service plans that this customer is currently signed up for. Right now, this customer only has a weekly service plan. And then below service plans, we'll see a complete service history. So all services that have been completed for this customer will be recorded here for your reference. So if you're out servicing someone and they ask about something that has been done in the past, you're able to actually come in here and take a look and answer those questions based on the notes and the times that those were serviced, who it was serviced by, etc. So that's the Information tab. But we haven't quite checked into the appointment yet. So after you get directions to the appointment and you arrive, you then want to navigate to the Complete tab. To do that, you can move over the top bar to view Complete, and then select Complete. Here you see 2 buttons, Check In and Check Out. Simply tap the Check In button to check into the appointment. Once you're checked in, you can begin servicing the appointment. There are 4 tabs in TechRoutes on the top. If we scroll over just a little bit, Docs, Scans, Products, and Invoice that you could use while servicing the appointment. We're going to start with Docs. In the Docs tab, you could see there's Image, Diagram, and Documents. If you click plus Image, you could upload an existing picture or take a new picture with your device. If you select to take a new picture with your device, you could then take a picture and then hit Use Photo, and what it will do is it'll let you give that photo a name if you'd like, hit OK, and it'll then upload that photo to that customer's account. This photo will now be on record for this customer. This is great if you want to take pictures for evidence or to show the customer something that you may have found. Next, we have the diagram. By hitting plus diagram, we could use this to actually make a diagram of the property that we're at. What it will do is it'll pull up a satellite view of the property that we're currently servicing. Here, we could hit plus structure in the bottom left, and then we could click on all the edges of the home to actually map out a diagram for this home. We could hit toggle links in the bottom right to see the links for everything that we've mapped out. We could zoom in using 2 fingers and then select any of the links that we like and change the link manually by typing it in here. When you're done messing with this diagram, just hit done in the bottom left. You'll then be able to choose a color and change the width of the line if you'd like. You could also add a line to this property by clicking the plus line here. Just tap where you want to start the line and tap again where you want to end it. And then when you're done, hit done. Same thing, you could then choose a color and a width for the line if you'd like. And to hide these options, just tap away from them. You'll also notice we have these little symbols down here at the bottom right. You could scroll through these and drag and drop these wherever you'd like them to be. For example, maybe we want to mark somewhere where we found termites. We could take this termite label here and drag them over onto the front part of the property here. We could then leave a note associated with it to keep track of this. Let's quickly drag a few of these guys around, just as an example. The ones shown here in the bottom right are your frequently used flags. To view other ones that aren't frequently used, you could hit the plus flag button and choose from a variety of other ones in your system. Simply click on the one you want to use, and it'll appear in the middle of your screen for you to drag it around wherever you'd like it to go. If you want to change the view here to where it's a little bit easier to look at the top you'll see what looks like a little globe. If I tap that once, it'll add grid lines. If I tap it once more, it's going to become a white background. And if I tap it again, it'll become a white background with grid lines. One more tap and it'll go back to the normal satellite view. Just to the left of that button is what looks like a picture. You would use this to save this diagram that you're looking at here as an image to this customer's file. Tap that, give it a name and hit save, and it will actually save it to the customer. On the right hand side you see 3 little dots. If you tap those, one thing that it'll do is on the bottom you'll see there's structures and flags. If flags are selected, it'll show you a list of all the different flags that you have around the property. Say for example you're trying to find the Termite Station 4 flag, you could just tap on it and it'll center you over where that flag is. Tapping those 3 little dots once more, if you select the structures at the bottom right, it'll show you details on the structures, such as the linear feet, the square footage of what you've drawn out, and any of the lengths of the lines that you've drawn out as well. If you want to add another layer to this diagram, you could do so by tapping base and then selecting the plus button there to add an additional layer. Once you are happy with your diagram, just hit save in the top left, hit save again, give it a name, and hit OK. And this will save the diagram. These diagrams could be extremely useful. For an example, if a technician goes out for a quarterly service and leaves several flags around showing their findings and where they've placed traps and whatnot, and then 3 months later the next technician comes out to service that quarterly appointment, they could pull up that diagram and see where the previous technician took notes of things, and then easily be able to find those and address them as needed. These diagrams will stick with the customers in the system. Lastly, we have the plus document. By tapping plus document, we could come in here and we could select whatever documents we need to fill out. For example, if we have a WDI or WDO set up for us that we need to fill out, we could tap that and begin going through it. We just need to fill in the information in the blanks. Anywhere that it says plus image, you could tap that and add an image that you have on this customer's account. And anywhere that it asks for a signature, you could simply tap that and sign it with your finger. When you're happy with the form, just scroll all the way down to the bottom, hit save, and it'll save the document for you to that customer's account. Next, we have the Scans tab. If you use barcodes, you can use this tab to keep track of those. If you want to add a new barcode to this customer, you could hit the Add New button, and it will allow you to scan a new barcode with your device. If you want to scan an existing barcode, tap Scan Existing. Or you could manually enter a barcode by tapping Enter Manually. Next is the Products tab. In the Products tab, by tapping Add Product, we can record what products we use during this service. Tap the product you want to use and then enter the applied amount. You could enter the applied amount, undiluted amount, and square footage if you'd like. You could also enter targeted issues or treated locations. By tapping targeted issues, these are bugs that you can mark as targeted. Under treated locations, it gives you a list of locations to choose from that you can mark as treated. Once you have this set up the way you like it, just hit save in the top right, and you could add more products as needed. Lastly, we have the invoice tab. This is where we can record payment information for the customer. Here, we'll see the service charge for the service we're performing today. If you want to change that charge, simply tap where it says service charge and you could change the rate if need be. You could also add line items to this service. For example, if this customer wants to add an item, such as a bait box, you could tap add invoice item, select bait box, enter the quantity and item rate, hit save, and it will add that as a line item to this invoice. Scrolling down, you'll see the summary for today's charges, as well as the previous balance information if applicable. You can see here that the subtotal for today is $125, and the tax brings it to $135.31. There's no previous balance, as it says 0, so the total due is $135.31. If we wanted to collect a payment from this customer at time of service, where it says collected today, we could enter the amount we have collected. We could choose a collection method of either cash or check. For this example, let's say that we're collecting a check. You would choose collected check, and then in the amount collected, you would simply enter how much you collected. So we're going to say we collected $135.31. Then you'll want to enter a check number. If you have access, you may also be able to update the customer's credit card or ACH information, or even charge the customer's credit card or ACH account while on site. Once everything looks good here, simply go back to the Complete tab. When you're done servicing the appointment, you then want to tap Check Out. Where it says Status, you then want to tap where it says Pending and select the status for this service. We can mark it as serviced, or there's also an option for No-Show. If you show up to an appointment and you're unable to service it for any reason, you can mark it as a no-show here in the Complete tab, and then it'll show up in the office as a no-show appointment to then be rescheduled at a later date. For this example, we're going to mark it as serviced. If you did the interior, there's a little toggle here for you. And if you want to add an email for the customer, you could do so where it says email. On the remainder of the Complete tab, we have notes that we can add. We could either add preset notes by tapping Add Preset Notes, or we could select the blank space below there where we could type our own notes. We have service notes, which are seen by the customer, invoice notes, which are tied to the invoice, or office notes, which are used for internal use. The office notes can also be flagged if you want to, which will actually make the note show up as an alert in the office for them to see sooner. We could also update some property details, such as the rig that we used, and then we could load the current weather by tapping Load Current Weather, and it will pull the weather from your current location and input it here. Lastly, if you want, you could also get a technician signature and a customer signature here by simply tapping the field and then signing it. Once done, you could tap Mark as Service at the bottom, and it will save the appointment. There's one more tab on the far right that says Print. If you use mobile printers, or if you want to print out service notifications in the field, you could use this tab to do so. What it will do is it will generate the service notification for the service that we've just completed, and then you could tap Print here to then print it to whatever printer you're using. Once you're done, simply hit the Back to Route button in the top left, and you can move on to your next appointment. As you can see, our first appointment is now marked as done, so we can now move on and continue throughout the rest of our schedule through our day. One last thing, on the top bar you'll see a little globe. If you tap that, it'll actually show you all of your appointments mapped out. Ones that are pending will show up as blue, ones that are completed will show as green, and ones that are marked as no-show will show as red. It's a quick way to get a glance at your schedule for the day. And that concludes our basic overview of TechRoutes. If you have additional questions, please reach out to your implementation specialist or support, and they'll be happy to help.